Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Mia's Talks. Thank you guys so much for all the support and love on the first episode. If you guys don't know what Mia's Talks is, you should go listen to the first Mia's Talk, which kind of explains what it is, and we talk about New Year's resolutions. But this week we're talking all about college camps. So basically this week I want to kind of do a deep dive about the 3 college camps that I've gone to, because I think I've mentioned throughout a couple episodes that I have attended certain camps at certain universities over the past 4 years that have really helped shape what I want to do and kind of help me realize what is the direction I want to go with. And I thought I could kind of take one video to just break everything down and really tell you guys, like, the costs, the pros, the cons, and why I would recommend a student attend each university. So if this is something that you want to learn more about, or if you're kind of in this, maybe you're a sophomore, junior, who's like, I kind of want to start figuring out what I can do to make my application stand out further, then definitely continue listening to this week's episode of Mia's Talks. Okay guys, I'm going to start off by saying, obviously I'm not a college counselor, I'm not a college admissions worker, so I don't know if this really helps you in your college application, but I obviously think it's going to help make you stand out, and it's going to help you yourself decide where you want to go to college, which is super duper important. So the first camp I want to start talking about is UCLA. So I did UCLA's Summer Discovery program, and Summer Discovery is basically this organization who runs a bunch of different camps at certain college campuses. They have it at UCLA. Other schools include Yale, Dartmouth, UT Austin, University of Michigan, and there is a 2-week and a 3-week program, and they kind of run them all throughout the summer. I did the 3-week UCLA one in like mid-July, and I took, sorry guys, I have my notes down here. I took psychology and digital marketing, and it was a great class because I got to figure out that I wanted to do psychology, and then in terms of the marketing thing, it was just like helpful and beneficial to know how to be able to market yourself and market a product. So those are the classes I took. Amazing professors, still in contact with one of them to this day, and I took this in the summer of my sophomore year. Now, why do I think it's important to take this camp at this time? Let me tell you. So this camp helped me discover what I wanted to do. That does not mean that if you take this camp you're going to discover exactly what you want to do, but it's a really good baseline to figure out what you potentially want to do. Another thing is, if you've never been away from your family, you can get a sense of what it's like to live alone and have a dining plan and have a bit more freedom and boundaries. So that was amazing. Now let me talk a little bit about what we did at camp. So we were able to explore Westwood, which is the college town that UCLA was in. Super nice with a certain boundary. It was up to the Trader Joe's, and it was great, and it was a pretty big area. So you had a grocery store, you had a Trader Joe's, a Target, and then you had Insomnia cookies, you had CVS, you had really everything that you needed within a half a mile to 0.8 mile radius. They also took us on excursions to places like the Boardwalk, to the Grove, to Manhattan Beach, a Hollywood sign hike. It was great because you were able to explore LA if you've never been to LA before. If you didn't know, UCLA is the University of California, Los Angeles. So if you never visit LA, it's a great way to kind of see the area, and they take you on a bus, and it's really fun. And then once you get there, you kind of have the freedom to do, not a full freedom, but you can do pretty much anything you want. You can eat whatever you want, you can buy whatever you want, there's really no limit. In terms of on campus, if you don't really like to leave campus, there's sports and just other bonding activities that you can do with your group, but a lot of people definitely went off campus. So now, in terms of classes I'm pretty sure ran from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. or 8 to 11, and then 1 to 3. So in between, I think it's 11 to 1, you have lunch, and you can either go to the dining hall. I feel like maybe it's 12. I don't know guys, sorry, I don't quite remember. But in between that time, you can get lunch. So you can either go to the dining hall, which I usually did because there's so many options and the food was honestly pretty good. Or you could go down to Westwood, and you can go to In-N-Out or whatever other food you really wanted. You had access to UCLA's dining hall and the gym, so if you wanted to go to the gym while you were there, then you could do that. Really nice gym, really nice facilities. They provided 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but you weren't required to eat there. But I think a lot of students are just because it was really convenient, and two of like the dining hall centers were open, and I would say they had like a bunch of different cuisine foods, and it was really good, and probably one of the better college camp foods I've had, as you will learn later on. In terms of room and dormant, because I feel like this is the question that I had when I was going into it, it's a really nice room. You have one other roommate and you share a suite bathroom. So in total, there's like 4 people using one bathroom, which honestly is not as bad as you think. And then there's 2 sinks. So like one sink is for one pair of roommates and the other sink is for another. At least that's how we did it. And then they provided toilet paper and stuff, so that was nice. We have a curfew check-in time. You have to be in the dorm by 10 p.m. and they basically like, even if you're in the building, you have to go outside of the building and then get checked in as you walk into the building. And then you have to be on your floor, in your room, by 11 p.m. I think. But a lot of people like just like snuck around, but I don't recommend doing that. There are room checks, so you do have to like be in your room, and there's RAs who do the room checks, which are usually like students at UCLA. You can choose a roommate if you know someone else that's going to the camp, but most people had random and it was pretty fine. I'm assuming you guys can guess it's boys on one floor, girls on another, and it's alternating. And I really liked my floor. We had great, like we did like little bonding activities and that was really fun. In terms of laundry, because that's also another question that I had, was you do have to pay for your own laundry. You have to like get like a Bruin card. I think it just also depends per school, but you get like a Bruin card and then you have to like put money on it and then you take that to the laundry machine and it's like 75 cents for the washer, 75 cents for the dryer, something like that. And I mean the washer and dryer were fine. Nothing bad to say. Other than that, the camp was a great experience, and I would definitely recommend something like Summer Discovery more for like a rising freshman, rising sophomore, just because it's not as intense and you're not gonna learn. I mean, you're definitely gonna learn, but the classes are very relaxed, so it's not as rigorous, and you'll learn later on that there's more rigorous camps out there. So if, for example, if you're a sophomore or rising sophomore and you know already what you want to do in college, then maybe this camp is not the perfect fit because your classes are going to be very like intro level and basic. I know some of my friends took like a health, like CPR course, which again is like very fundamental level, but you can always look into it, and I will have all these camps linked down below as well. And the final thing I want to talk about is price. This camp is 3 weeks and is $7,499 as of right now. I might go up, might go down, and I think it also depends on the school you go to, but that is the price for UCLA. And obviously these are not cheap prices, but it does also include like dorm and 3 meals a day. Okay, the next camp I want to talk about is the Northeastern University pre-college program. This one is very similar in terms of class level to the UCLA camp. The whole reason I went is because I wanted to take a camp at the university I wanted to go to. So this is not something that you have to do at Northeastern, but if you already know in your rising junior year that you want to go to a specific university, then I would see if that university has a camp. Because I think it's one thing to know that you want to go there because of like the education, but it's another if you get to experience what it's like to like live in the dorms and live in that surrounding neighborhood, which is really important. It is a 13-day camp with 1 weekend, which kind of sucked, and I took the experimental entrepreneurship class, and that was a great class with great professors. In terms of Boston itself, I was able to explore a lot of Boston using a T, which is a train system down there, and they also took us on excursions like Seaport, the Boston Aquarium, Newberry Street, and on-campus activities included slime making, tote bag painting, and just sports. You could also just like hang out with friends and like play a deck of cards. Classes went from 8 to 11, I think, and then 1 to 2:30, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was 8:30 to 11, but somewhere around that time frame. And these classes were they weren't as easy as the UCLA ones. You actually had to apply yourself and like truly work. It's a group project, at least for my class. But then you didn't have much like outside of class homework, which was nice because then we got to explore the Boston area, and we had great professors. All of them were Northeastern professors. And on top of that, another plus side that at least for my class I got to learn was like how to use LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is something that's really used at Northeastern and is something that has helped me now that I'm attending Northeastern in the fall. We were also able to use the facilities in the gym, which is super nice, but the one downside is that we could only use the gym from like 4 to 7, so everyone was in the gym, so it was really crowded. But besides that, nice gym, great facilities. I was able to work out with my friends. I was able to play basketball, a little bit of like squash. That was really fun. They give you 3 meals a day in the dining hall. The dining hall food is very good, at least in my opinion. They have a bunch of variety and it's meal swiped, so you get it and it's like buffet style. And on top of that, you're given about, I think, $100 to $150 of Husky dollars, which can be used elsewhere, so like Dunkin', Panera, Mamacitas, Wings Over Boston, like a bunch of areas around Northeastern. So if you don't want to eat dining hall food, you have $150 to spend. And you might think that's not a lot, but most people were struggling to like use it all up at the end. You can also use it at CVS. That's nice. So there's plenty of food options if you don't want to eat what's being served. In terms of rooms, we were put into our East Village, one of them. I'll put the name up here. But that was a great dorm. Air conditioned, like floors were like nice. I was in the disability room. I don't know why. I wasn't taking a room away from a disability person, I swear. So my room was like extra big and I got my own private bathroom with a tub, which was so nice. But most of my other friends were in like the suite style, so it's like one roommate, so it's like them and someone else, and then shared bathroom with 2 other people. And the bathrooms were also nice. Same layout kind of as the UCLA dorms. And then every floor had like some type of common thing. So you either had a common room with like a meeting room and a vending machine, or a common room with a TV and a vending machine, and then a common room but it was the laundry room. So it's like every 3 floors. Obviously girls and boys were separate, and actually, yeah, girls and boys were basically separate, except one floor had a mix. And then the curfew in terms of that is 10 p.m. you have to be in your dorm, 11 p.m. you have to be on your floor, and 12 a.m. you have to be in your room. The reason, or they check the 10 p.m. curfew by having meetings every day. So you meet with your RA and then you guys just talk about like your day and like if there's an excursion coming up, how do you sign up, where do you guys meet up, all that stuff. And then it was super relaxed, like the RAs are super chill. One time me and my friend like were at Wings Over Boston at like 9:50 p.m. and we had to be there by 10 p.m. So we were sprinting and we text our RA like we're almost there, like trust us. But it was like super relaxed. You could basically do whatever you wanted. I feel like I lived like a double life. So like from 8 to 3 I was like a student, and then from 3 to 12 I was like going out, not like partying obviously. Also, you can't drink at any of these, by the way, if you couldn't tell. But we just like were able to like, go shopping and have so much fun, and I got to meet so many amazing people. And I think I would recommend a camp like this if you know where you want to go, like for college, not maybe your major, but you know what school. So I know like University of Washington has a camp like this, Boston College has a camp. Just search up like whatever school, college pre-summer camps, and a bunch of things will pop up. I would recommend this one if you know where you want to go. So take this with what you will. So one more last thing about Northeastern is the price. It is, as of now, $7,095. Again, expensive, but it's 13 days for 3 meals and a room. And if you do think about it, it's like, oh, Mia, UCLA and Northeastern are like the same price for different days. Yes. So take with that what you will. But if you really know where you want to go, I think it's a good investment. Okay guys, last one, Harvard SSP. This one I would only recommend if you know what you want to do in college, period. It is expensive, 1. It is mentally taxing, 2. And 3, it's a waste of your time if you don't like the class you're taking. With these other 2 camps, if your parents force you to go, it's not the end of the world because the classes are not super hard, and if you think about it as the goal of socializing, it could be really nice. But for Harvard, it is a college credited 7-week program. Now there is a 4-week option, which is only one class. The 7-week program is 2 classes. I took the Neuroscience of Learning and Philosophy, Ethics, and Technology. These 2 classes were both research paper-based classes, which means I had to write a research paper in 7 weeks, which, if you know anything about the research industry, very short. There are many options for classes, not just, neuroscience and philosophy. There's up to around 200 classes that you could potentially take. And a lot of people have told me, like, oh, it's like just another summer camp. No, you're taking college classes with Harvard undergrad, graduate, and master's students. Wait, graduate and master's are the same thing. You're taking them with graduate and doctoral students. Yes, so please really consider. If you get into this camp, Harvard is basically saying, oh, we think you're decently knowledgeable enough to take classes with our students, which is a huge deal. It was definitely a lot, but I learned a lot. I learned from some of the best professors in my field, because you're either taught by like Harvard professors or professors from other schools around the areas, like Boston College, Tufts, and they're still all great, notable schools. In terms of classwork and load, it was definitely a lot, but I had classes on alternating days, which I'm super, super happy I did. I know some of my friends had back-to-back classes, which sounded honestly terrible. My classes started from 8 to 11:30, and then there's a lunch, and then 12 to 3. The dining hall did open at 11:30 for lunch, so some days I didn't eat lunch. That was not fun. But in terms of like activities and excursions, there's so many activities, and if you're there for 7 weeks, you technically have 21 days of weekend that you can take, because you only have classes Monday to Thursday if you're in the 7-week program, which was amazing because we got 3 days of weekend every weekend. So we got to really like explore, and if you wanted to leave campus, you could, if you got parent permission to, like, for example, go to New York City for the weekend, which I know some people did. There's excursions that they also take you on, like Boston Red Sox games, the museum, Seaport, whale watching, Provincetown, Rhode Island. That one was really fun. The 7-week program classes were really nice because they were definitely hard, but the professors really try to work with you. So if you're worried about falling behind, don't, because they know that you're taking another class. You should expect to cry a little bit. At least for all my friends, at least cried 3 times during the 7 weeks. But if you take away that, it's such a great learning experience. As always, we had 3 meals served in Annenberg Dining Hall. Now, let me just say, out of all the camps I've been to, Harvard definitely had the least good quality of food. Not trying to bash them or anything, but definitely not what I was used to. So just be prepared. Outside of classes, you had a bunch of free time. Our curfew was at 12 a.m. You just had to be in the dorm. Like, you didn't even have to be in your room. And they also never checked, so you could technically be out past 12. But don't do that. And there are RAs that walk around campus at night to see if people are sneaking in and out. But they don't care if you're walking in between rooms in the same dorm. Which is perfect because my best friend lived across the hall, so that was great. They set up weekly meetings so that the RAs could see like how we were doing, because this is a Harvard level class. So they were like, are you guys doing okay? Like, what's going on? And then I guess like part of our tuition or something, they were able to buy us like some sort of food during our meetings. So like our RA got us ice cream all the time, which is great. I know some other people did like pizza. I think that's really everything that people did, but that was great, because then it was a great way to ask current Harvard students like what their study techniques and tips are. And I definitely learned a lot from my RA, and I'm still in contact with her, so that's been amazing. They also planned like little function dance things. So we had like a welcome dance that was really fun. It was like Hawaiian themed. And there was also like another dance, I think, after that. They also planned like sports activities and stuff on campus that you could do in different clubs for different like experiences. Like if you wanted like if you wanted to learn how to write or something, there was like a writing club or like a college essay writing club, so that definitely looked interesting. Personally, never tried it. You also had access to like the library, which at Harvard's like top tier, and then on top of that you get to have access to their writing center, which is amazing. If you're writing your college essay, you could literally go to them and ask them to check your college essay for you, and you can have a Harvard professor look at your essay and tell you what they think is good or not, which is what I did. So definitely take advantage to all the things that you are given, no matter what camp you go to. The dorms, old, very old, no air conditioning. If you know Boston, it's hot. They give you a box fan. Still dying. I was on the 3rd floor. Heat rises. I was dead. Yeah. But besides that, the dorms were fine. Everyone got there. It was like a suite style. So it was like in one room, 3 girls would live in it, but then every girl would have their own room. So that was really nice. So everyone had some privacy. And then in the middle, there's a common room, and then you have a bathroom. Again, it's old, so it's not the cleanest, but it gets you by. And you can also like decorate it however you want. You could also like rent a fridge or a microwave if that's something that you want to do. My friend did that. Some people had no roommates. Like my best friend didn't have a roommate, but some people have up to 3 people living in it, so 2 roommates, which I had. And if you also wanted to have like a special accommodation to have like an AC unit, you can request that, which none of us really qualified for, but that's okay. It was still a great experience, and also you're not really in your dorm a lot of the time. You're usually in the library or in like anywhere else just studying with other people, so that's great. Also, if you only want to take 1 class and you're like, Mia, I don't want to take 2, I just want to take 1, you can do the 4-week program, which is only 1 class, but then you have classes Monday through Friday, so do with that what you will. Like I said, I would only take this camp if I was 100% certain that I wanted to do this field. If not, I would not take it because it's a huge waste of money, as I will tell you in a second, and a huge waste of your time, if I'm going to be 100% honest. Now, in terms of price, this camp, as of now, has gone up to $15,735. It's expensive, but you're paying for 2 classes, 2 credit classes, 2 4-credit classes, dorm, and 3 meals a day. Do with that information what you will. I will have it linked down below. I think it was worth it. I loved my experience, and I think the people I met were so intellectual, and people that an intellectual ability that I didn't know their students could have, not in a rude way, but they were super smart, really knew what they wanted to do, really good at what they wanted to do. And I met so many people from all around the world, and some of my best friends live all around the world now, which kind of sucks, but it's also amazing because if I come visit a country, I can be like, hey, stopping by your country, let's hang out again. So it was amazing. I would say out of all the camps I went to, the people I met at Harvard were by far the most driven, but I think they were also super fun, and it was a great work-life balance, and I really learned how to be independent, how to use my money, and how to kind of plan and manage my own time. If that's something that you want to learn, and that's something that you're really passionate about, and you also know what you want to do, I think Harvard is 100% worth the cost. Okay guys, that is it for this week's Mia's Talks. If you guys liked this college camp and you want to learn more about it, or you want, me to kind of tell you which camp I think you should go to based off of where you are, you guys can definitely DM me or ask me in the comments down below, and I'll try to help you guys as much as I can. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys liked it or if you think this was super helpful, please definitely go share it to your friends and other people who are applying to colleges or maybe getting started with that process soon. These Mia's Talks episodes come out bi-weekly, so I will see you guys next week for another amazing episode. Bye!